Hello everyone, you are on the Adults and Children channel and we are going to gather mushrooms. It was cold in the morning, the temperature was around 0, the water has already started to steam. In the morning there are very few fishermen, 2 people are sitting in boats, but they don't really tug at the fishing rods, perhaps because it doesn't bite. With us is Grandfather Vasya, a fisherman, an athlete, and so we begin. Here we are at our beautiful spot, by the fast and serene waters of the Velikolupsk wetlands. Girl Vasya, who is known for her skills, is already tying up the boat. There is a small current, and the water is already clear. It is evident that it has gotten colder. It's about 15 degrees Celsius, and we will go to this forest to gather mushrooms. The water has receded a lot, and it's clear that some tracks have been left here. This is probably from a wild boar that passed by here recently, perhaps to drink, probably at night. There are small tracks like those of a dog. It was probably a fox. There are no dogs here. Today the atmosphere is calm and pleasant. As always, we turn on the program, I am going home. Turn on GPS. We are turning it on, and we wait until our coordinates are determined. The connection with the satellites has been established. We are setting the point. The location of the boat, the precise coordinates of the house have been entered exactly and successfully, and we can go. Everything here is dug up. It is clear that wild boars were wandering around, searching for roots and acorns. The forest is quiet and calm today. Even the little birds are not singing, as they have not yet woken up. In the distance, there is the acacia forest, but it is not worth going there because there are no mushrooms. Nearby, there are poplars and a much broken area. It's not very large, but if you look closely, you can find something here. Mushrooms, oyster mushrooms. Here on one of the trees I see a mycelium that is hiding under the root of the tree. Here, right on one tree, there are both beige oyster mushrooms, which appear earlier, and blue ones, which show up just before the frost. We will connect them. The mushrooms are already slightly frozen because there was a frost at night, but they will thaw and start growing again. In this forest, there are a lot of aspens, but nothing grows on them, and nearby I found an interesting little mushroom. It has a bluish appearance. I don't know if it's edible or not. It smells like moss. I won't take it. If you all know, let me know. Here the settled forest has ended, and the poplar forest has begun. It is necessary to inspect each stump, each tree, and to enter the densest areas in order to find mushrooms. I'm looking at a stump, and on it are these giant oyster mushrooms. It is clear that they have not been trimmed yet, as they have grown to such dimensions where there were none before. One mushroom cluster, one on the stump, slightly frozen, firm. You can see how they sparkle, but they are edible. We will cut them. Such giant oyster mushrooms. The mushrooms are very nice and quite large in size. They are completely covered with a layer of leaves. These mushrooms have a big, thick cap that is quite noticeable. Frozen mushrooms must be handled carefully because they are very fragile and can break with any movement. Therefore, we will carefully pack the backpack. The backpack is small for such mushrooms. Let's place them carefully. Unfortunately, my little camera has run out of battery, so I will be filming with the action camera. There are big stems. I didn't know. A beautiful large mushroom bed.
They are very brittle. By themselves they are elastic, but when frozen they break very easily. You can even see some ice on them. Thus, in mushroom gathering, one can immediately find a single mushroom patch and collect half a backpack full. It's like fishing for catfish. If you catch one, it's a big fish. I already have almost half a backpack full. The sun has set, and it will be easier for us to navigate the area, even without a navigator. Last year, I found a lot of mushrooms on this tree. This year, the bark has fallen off, and for some reason, the mushrooms have stopped appearing. It seems there are none at all. Just some wooden mushrooms and a pile of fallen bark. So the tree has probably died completely by now. A lot has already changed here. And on that tree, I gathered oyster mushrooms last year. There were a whole bunch of them. Now it has fallen. Maybe something is left there. I need to take a look. That's right. Down by the root, there are beautiful dark oyster mushrooms. We will cut them. And there are no more ruffled ones on the trunk. We will cut those as well. Interestingly, this year, the mushrooms have been found to be somewhat frozen, which is quite unusual. For some reason, they are only sprouting and thriving under the roots of trees, unlike previous years when they were more widespread. This peculiar growth pattern has caught the attention of many observers and mushroom enthusiasts who are curious about the underlying causes of this change. The cold conditions seem to have affected their usual growth habits, leading to this unique situation, just like even last year. They were indeed all over the trunk. Now there is nothing there. A good spot. Many fallen trees. I noticed indeed a very good batch of oyster mushrooms on a fallen tree. They are not very big yet, but they have densely covered this black poplar. In this particular scene, you have the opportunity to truly appreciate just how incredibly stunningly beautiful these elements really are. You can see that someone has eaten them, probably some animal. The tree has clearly fallen a long time ago. Oyster mushrooms are already there.
We are going to carefully trim each of them. To begin, let's focus on the largest one first, and then we will gradually move on to the smaller ones, ensuring that each is trimmed to the desired size with precision and care. A rather massive stem, which is quite impressive in size and stature, and stands out prominently in its environment. The mushroom is indeed still young. No animals or insects have eaten it. In the dense, shadowy forest, a peculiar variety of mushrooms thrived, reaching upwards with an elegant grace. These mushrooms, known for their vertical growth, exhibited a smooth and unusual shape that captivated the attention of botanists and nature enthusiasts alike. Their surfaces glistened with morning dew, reflecting the soft light that filtered through the canopy above. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, in the midst of this enchanting woodland, a traveler found themselves repeatedly filling their backpack. Almost half of the backpack was. When searching for oyster mushrooms, the main thing is not to be lazy, because after walking more than a kilometer, you can find a large mushroom bed and have a good catch. Here, it is clear that there have already been foragers who have cut the mushrooms at the bottom, and on this small tree, another little mushroom has appeared. It is a bit dry, showing that it lacks moisture, but nevertheless, it has grown.
The lower part has slightly turned yellow and has become a bit dry. This mushroom is also quite good.
There is a large amount of fallen wood, but there are no mushrooms on it anymore because the trees are old. The bark has fallen off, and this wood is no longer suitable for mushroom beds.
Here I found oyster mushrooms. They are small, but pleasant. One olive. A little but nice. Let's look further at the tree. Here, more small mushrooms are being reborn. We won't touch it yet, for now. There is such an ambiguous and unclear mushroom that seems to be growing on it. Already old. It has a distinct mushroom smell, but I won't remove it because I don't know. There are also mushrooms further along. A small ryabchik is visible, and nearby, larger mushrooms have already grown. It is possible to cut them here. Something also ate a little, probably some animal.
On the tree they are fresh, slightly dried but pleasant. Slightly a little bit dried, but it will do. There's a lot of deadwood. Here, the trees are creaking, and they might fall soon. And here I see a batch of oyster mushrooms growing in a cluster on a small tree nearby.
They are all absolutely nice, stunning and vibrant in appearance. Beautiful. You can cut them. You need to climb a bit on the trees, of course, but there's no other way to reach them. Slightly dried already. They're already a bit more slightly dried than usual, but they will do for soup. Here are delicious honey mushrooms, and so we will take them as well. The mushroom has a thin stem, and a green color is slightly visible on the cut. If there is a green cut, then it is a real honey mushroom, not a false one. When a tree is broken, it is crucial to perform a detailed inspection to check for mushrooms. This involves looking closely at every part of the tree, as mushrooms can be hidden and not immediately visible. Ensuring no mushrooms are missed is important because they can sometimes be difficult to spot at first glance. Let's take a walk, especially paying attention to the low areas, as there is more moisture here, so things will grow better. And there I came across beautiful mushrooms that grow on a dried up tree, and fascinatingly, there is a similarly broken tree nearby, but there are no mushrooms there yet, but we will trim these. Here is a tree on which it is clear that mushrooms were cut just recently. And now 2 new ones have grown, and we will cut them soon. Let's walk through the old places. Here something has also been cut on the tree, but if you walk around you can see a new mycelium below that has managed to grow. It is already visible here that oyster mushrooms have started to appear on this tree. There are many knives. A whole family of milkcaps was hidden. In principle, in theory, they could potentially be taken, but they are no longer very fresh at this point in time, and it is clear that various bugs have eaten them. Therefore, we won't take them for now, even the good ones. We have oyster mushrooms. Now let us take a moment to look around. Here, you will find that this is also one of the many varieties of oyster mushrooms. They are edible and can be eaten. The only thing is that they grow individually, making them harder to collect. But if there are such oyster mushrooms, then it is necessary to look around and find their relatives. And there I see on one of the trees, gently nestled, a few oyster mushrooms hiding majestically in the forest. They have already begun to decompose the tree. It's so beautiful. This particular tree appears to be different from a poplar tree, suggesting it belongs to another species entirely, which is not immediately recognizable. Some subscribers wrote that oyster mushrooms grow not only on poplars, but also on such trees. Here, a cut is visible. Some mushroom picker has been here recently. Yes, this tree is a maple and oyster mushrooms also grow on it. One subscriber wrote to me correctly. In this particular area, you can observe that there are numerous maple trees scattered all around us. Our next step will be to proceed towards the direction of the boat, which is waiting for us. Here, I see there is a small cluster of mushrooms. They are hiding at the base of the tree. I need to cut them. A fallen tree that has fallen and is now covered with oyster mushrooms on it. They are not very visible, but if you look closely, they are easily distinguishable in the bushes.
We are planning to carefully cut them into smaller sections, ensuring that each part is separated with precision and care, while keeping the original structure intact.
Let's just walk a little further. Here, at this spot near the wildlife feeder, I always find mushrooms. And this year, there are some as well. Indeed, they are already higher up on the tree. Last year they were much lower. Here is a mushroom bed. Slightly dried out, but it can be trimmed. Well, our mushroom hunt has come to an end. We have spent quite a bit of time and are tired. We collected a lot of oyster mushrooms today. You can see a full 10 kilogram bag and another 5 kilograms in the backpack. This means there are still oyster mushrooms available. The weather is certainly not very good. There is little rain now, so they are growing poorly. Some are even slightly wilted. At night there are frosts and they are freezing, so some are even in the ice. You are on the Adults and Children channel, watching a video about how to collect oyster mushrooms by yourself. Leave wonderful comments, give us likes, and subscribe to our channel. Stay with us. Goodbye everyone.